What's good, y'all? It's your boy Cam back with another YouTube video, and today we finna be checking out this video, man. It's called How One Mass Shooting Changed the UK's Gun Laws Forever. Now, man, as you can see by the title, I'm an American, and y'all know America, man, we be having a lot of school shootings. Sad to say that out of my mouth, actually. So I just want to see, what did the UK do after their first or one mass shooting, bro? So, before we start, man, smash the like button and let's go. What did they do? Okay, let's go. Gotta fix the sound. All right, there we go.
People are getting shot all around me.
Hundreds of students ran for their lives.
We didn't think this would ever happen.
The shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Virginia Tech.
Parkland, Columbine High School.
A total of 15 people.
33 dead.
20 children, 7 adults.
More than 240,000 US students have experienced gun violence at school since Columbine in 1999. But in the
Ooh, oh my goodness. Say that number again.
experienced more than 240,000 US students have
240,000, bro. And the number's probably even crazier now, man.
experienced gun violence at school since Columbine in 1999. But in the UK, it's a different story. Private ownership of all handguns and semi-automatic rifles is banned, a concept unimaginable in America. But how have these two inextricably linked nations ended up with such vastly different attitudes on guns? And how did this massive change in the UK even happen? To understand, we have to go back to 1996, when the Dunblane massacre changed everything.
Grief, shock and disbelief in the Scottish town of Dunblane.
A former scout leader with a grudge.
It is a tragedy without precedent.
16 tiny children died right here at Dunblane Primary
Scout leader with a grudge, bro?
School.
The massacre, carried out by a man who had licenses for his guns, was enough to change the UK's gun laws forever.
What's truly amazing is that by the end of the next year, it became illegal.
Okay, this is my last time pausing, but he had a license. He had a license and everything, bro. It's usually people that don't have a license. So I'm really shocked at that part. Okay, I'm gonna try not to pause too much. Let's go.
To own a handgun in the UK.
But how did the UK get to that point so fast? It was mainly due to the activism from those personally affected by the attack.
My daughter Sophie was one of the 16 young children who were shot dead at Dunblane Primary School. She and I were on our own. She was my only child.
Dr. Mick North was an academic before the shooting, but after, he found it impossible to return to that life. Wow. So he devoted himself to making sure other parents never had to experience his agony by becoming a gun control activist.
Hi.
Wow.
One of my initial reactions after Dunblane was a feeling that this should never have happened because the guns that the perpetrator used have been too easy to come by.
Dr. North combined forces with other people who were touched by Dunblane, like former Scottish Labour MP Richard Simpson.
Now, he was a doctor at the local hospital at the time, but then after that experience, he changed his entire career, became a Labour MP, and helped to lead the motion to change the gun laws in the UK.
What I discovered was that the then Conservative government was in the process of actually seeking to deregulate the process by which guns were regulated in the United Kingdom. And that really made me very annoyed.
These two men were part of a movement fighting to be heard by politicians. Residents of Dunblane and relatives of victims started speaking out and organising public relations campaigns and creating petitions.
Politicians weren't necessarily used to hearing from the victims of shooting incidents.
Everyone who says, I enjoy the sport, I want to hold the gun in my hand and have the live ammunition. What I say is, you have those emotions for enjoying your sport, but feel the emotions of a parent who is never going to see their child again.
There was a massive groundswell, a bit like the climate extinction movement now. It wasn't highly coordinated or paid for.
So we had a petition called the Snowdrop Petition, which was getting the public to sign up for a ban on handguns, eventually gaining over 700,000 signatures. Within 2 years, a total ban on handguns had been...
What? The petition actually worked, man. I've never heard of, well, recently, I haven't heard of a petition working in the U.S. You feel me? I don't think I've heard of a, like, people promote like they'll say go to petition.org or something like that and sign this petition. It'll get millions of signatures, but nothing will happen. Nothing will change. So I'm actually pretty shocked that they got over 700,000 signatures and something actually changed. So that's really interesting, man. I've never heard of something actually changing after hearing from the public, you know? That is through signatures.
This country.
By 1999, over 165,000 guns and over 700 tons of ammo had been surrendered.
Wow.
There was a lot of opposition to it, and it was suggested that it would actually badly affect people who used guns for sport, but it hasn't done so.
What we did was a major achievement, and I'm very satisfied with what we were able to do.
Dunblane happened. The gun laws were overhauled before Columbine even happened 2 years earlier. It's like the precedent was set. We knew what was starting to happen across the world.
And 2 years later, on April 20th, 1999, 2 teenagers shot and killed 12 fellow students and a teacher at Columbine High School near Denver, Colorado. Just like Dunblane did in the UK, Columbine shocked Americans. It wasn't the first school shooting in the US, but those images captured on live TV set something off that had ripple effects throughout the country. And just like in Dunblane, no one was closer to the situation than the victims' parents.
Yeah.
I'm the father of Daniel Mauser. He was one of the students killed at Columbine High School. He was 15 years old.
Like Mick North before him, Tom devoted his life to fighting for gun control, even taking a year off from work to lobby at the state capitol.
Just 2 weeks before Columbine, at the dinner table, Daniel asked me a question based on a conversation that he had with other members of the debate team. He said, "Dad, did you know there were loopholes in the Brady Bill?" Brady Bill is a national law that requires background checks to purchase a gun. And I just kind of...
What the heck?
Brady Bill.
Bro, I've never seen anything like this before. Is this in the U.S.?
National law that requires background checks to purchase a gun. And I just kind of blew it off.
Wow.
He was then killed with a gun that was purchased through a loophole in the Brady Bill. I mean, how could I not act on that?
Loophole, bro.
Very prophetic. And it made me realize that when we have loopholes like that, when we have so much carnage in this country, we have to do something about it. I became very vocal, active.
And Tom did make some very real progress on a state level soon after, helping to introduce a bill to close the same gun show loophole he and Daniel had discussed over dinner. In 2000, the public voted and passed Colorado's answer to the Brady Bill by an overwhelming majority of about 70%.
I felt that I did something to honor Daniel. I did something in response to something he brought up to me.
But this small victory at the state level in Colorado was overshadowed by strong national backlash against gun safety laws. Barely a year after Columbine, then NRA President Charlton Heston gave this famous threat.
From my cold, dead hands.
In America, we are so wrapped up in individualism and rights that we say, well, no, we can't do that because that might possibly affect my rights. And for a lot of people, that's more important than what could possibly happen to them or their neighbors. It's a cultural issue that
I think people are just scared of, if the government collapses or something like that, and they try to bust in your house, and they can't do that if you have a gun. I think that's where most of the people are coming from. At least that's what I've seen so far. But I understand. Some people don't want to get their guns taken away because the government's like, okay, everybody have their guns taken. I could just bust in your house and tell you to do this, that, and the third. Okay. Wow, man. I mean, but it's really sad to see that when tragedies happen, that's when changes are made. But that's how it is in the world. That's genuinely how it is in the world. Nothing changes without something happening. I just wish it didn't have to go like this,
different between us and other nations. I think it's shameful in the U.S. that we have failed to really react in any significant way.
Since Columbine, the narrative in the US around gun rights and gun control has only become more polarizing.
Restricting law-abiding Americans from acquiring guns is obviously unconstitutional.
Is it time to repeal the Second Amendment?
The left has their rigid, radical, anti-gun agenda.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
In the US, barely any federal gun control laws have passed since Columbine. In fact, experts say the most significant change in gun law is when politicians let a Clinton-era assault weapons ban expire in 2004, making assault weapons like AR-15s legal again. Since then, the AR-15 has been used in almost every notable mass shooting in America. And the problem continues to get worse. The US has more firearms per person than any other country in the world. And it's...
Yeah, man, I think it should be strict. Like, no loopholes, super duper strict, man. Like, I need a background check. More than a background check, I need to know, where were you yesterday? What were you doing the last 5 weeks ago? You know, I need to know everything about you before I give you this. How's your mental health? How's your brain, bro? Do you have mental problems? Do you need to take pills or anything like that? I need to know everything about you before I give you this. Man, I need to know who you're around. If I give you this, do you have a child that's gonna take it? Do I need to talk to them too? If I give you this gun, do you have a family member that's gonna try to take it? So many possibilities, so many things you have to jump through, honestly, man. So it's like, I guess I understand why people would just like bump all that. We don't need to jump through all these hoops. Let's just take them. So, man, that's interesting. That's interesting. I do think the background check should be very harsh. Like, it needs to be so harsh where you're just like, I don't even want a gun no more. You feel me? It needs to be that harsh. And then if you do get it, it needs to be like tucked away nicely, bro. Like, whoever you around, don't even tell them. I guess you're supposed to tell people no, you're not. You don't need to tell nobody nothing. Man, this is so interesting, bro. It's definitely a conversation.
A world that has more guns.
I can see why there are like two sides, you know? It's like sides that's saying you can't take this gun away, and there's signs like, bro, just give it up. So I can see both sides, man.
Than people. And the US gun homicide rate is 25 times that of other high-income countries.
I mean, and then when you see the stats, it's like, hey, this place lets you keep your guns. This place took all the guns, and look at the school shootings. You know? Polar opposites. Oh my goodness, talk about polar, man. Dang.
Including the UK.
The main problem is not necessarily the Second Amendment, but how that has been interpreted.
In America, there needs to be an understanding of how to tighten the law without grossly infringing on what are perceived of as rights under the Second Amendment.
But it does seem ridiculous to use the words of the Founding Fathers to decide how you control or don't control weapons that are usually used in war zones.
There have been so many mass shootings since Columbine that many Americans feel hopeless about reform. The fact remains, however, that 61% of Americans do support stricter gun laws. And there are many potential changes, such as closing the gun show loophole or restricting assault weapons, that would make a huge impact and would not go as far as a total ban on firearms.
Yeah, the fact that there is a loophole around these types of things is insane. That's why it needs to be so strict. Like, oh my goodness.
It takes a long time sometimes. It's not just...
And I'm not going to say they're not taking it serious either, but...
changing the laws. You also have to change culture to get people to be willing to change the laws.
And perhaps there'll come a time when enough people vote in politicians who will be supportive of the gun control measures that America needs and deserves.
No one has kids so they can buy them bulletproof backpacks. You have kids so that they can hopefully thrive in a better world than you did. We really have to ask ourselves if we're giving them that opportunity.
Yeah, man, that's why a lot of people are homeschooling their kids. I'm homeschooling my kids, bro. It's a crazy world we live in, you know? But yeah, man, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comment section below how you felt about this video. Are you pro, anti? Do you have a gun, bro? Like, let me know in the comment section below how you felt about it. Very interesting conversation, bro. So I know this comment section is gonna be blown up. But yeah, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all in the next video, man. Peace.